Ohio State's coming to town tomorrow. And I get it, man. I get it. Fan base feels like the season is spiraled and there's not a lot of hope. One of the great things about college sports is anything truly can happen in college football. College football is a game that the variance from what a team plays like from week to week, it's a wide range. College football is a game in which emotions play a huge role. College football home field can matter more. College football momentum gets going for one team, and the favorite starts to get uncomfortable, and the underdog starts to feel it. So can that happen in East Lansing? There's very little evidence so far through 5 games that the 2-3 Spartans can upset the 5-0 Buckeyes. Last I saw, Michigan State was a 26.5-point underdog. Well, we know about the 1998 game when the Spartans were a 27.5-point underdog. And those of you that don't, in retrospect, given the talent Michigan State put on the field, it's remarkable that they were that big of an underdog. But that was a Julian Peterson 6-sack game, and Michigan State went down to Columbus and beat what looked like an unbeatable Ohio State team that was undefeated and ranked number 1 in the country, 28-24. We all know what happened in 2015. 2015, Michigan State went down to Columbus with a backup quarterback. And I don't know what the point spread was that day, but I bet it wasn't that close. And the Spartans pulled off an improbable win against Zeke Elliott. That was JT Barrett, too, wasn't it, with that group? And they pulled off that win. Last weekend in college football, Missouri was a 32-point underdog. And they had a 2-score lead inside of 10 minutes to go against number 1 Georgia. These things happen. Now, it doesn't mean because it's happened in the past it's going to happen again. But I don't like just straight up dismissal of a team having a chance. Now, we brought up the scenario yesterday. If the Spartans play their best game, and by best game, they're not turning it over, getting some production on the ground, Peyton Thorne is connecting with Reed and kind of playing mistake-free. Getting some pass rush that we saw earlier in the year. We know it's in there. We saw it against lesser opponents. You keep working at it. You keep practicing. Can it come out on a day like that? Michigan State has more sacks than Ohio State has this year. And we haven't seen them in a couple weeks, given. But they do have more sacks than Ohio State has. Ohio State is only +1 in turnover margin. They haven't exactly been an opportunistic defense. So can Michigan State build belief? Like, building belief starts early in a game, keeping it close. Maybe getting an early turnover, short field, kick a field goal. That's the anatomy of how it happens. Now, can it happen? Probably not. But I brought up those previous Michigan State-Ohio State games because it has happened in the past. I brought up Georgia and Missouri because it came this close to happening last weekend. And I'm sure Missouri fans went to that stadium not thinking it was going to be a fourth-quarter game. And it was not only a fourth-quarter game, they flirted with winning the damn thing. No, they didn't. But that Missouri team was a bigger underdog than Michigan State is tomorrow.
All those upsets happened, or close to happened, in the case of Georgia, Missouri, is because sports, Doug.
Yeah.
They still play the game. It's not just played out on paper. It's not just played out in Vegas, who they think's going to win. They still play the game. Humans are still, on each side of the ball. And is it likely Michigan State beats Ohio State? Of course not. But you asked a question yesterday, and I think you asked it in Crosstalk as well. If Michigan State were to play their absolute best game they could possibly play, and Ohio State played their absolute worst game they could possibly play Saturday, who would win? I would take Michigan State. Now, is that likely? Of course not. But Michigan State, they're not a good football team. Breaking news. But they're not like the bigger upsets have happened.
Yeah, bigger upsets have happened.
Bigger upsets have happened.
I kind of feel like a program that has a little bit of soul to it, like has a history of doing this, can reach down and summon that history. Now, it's not something you can build on, like you can constantly be summoning history and winning games, but I'd be selling that hard if I were Mel Tucker and on the staff.
Yeah, it's almost like a one-time only deal, but
yeah,
but I think that people forget, listen, I'm not saying this is going to happen. It would take a lot for those two things to happen. Michigan State play their best game, Ohio State play their worst game. But if anything, Michigan State has proven they don't, in the history of whenever you kind of doubt, this is one of those rivalry games where they kind of surprise you.
Yeah, they feed off doubt.
Yes, exactly. So maybe they just come close. Maybe it's more competitive than you think, and they don't pull it off. But I think that right now people are going to say you're crazy. I'm not picking Michigan State to have their best game of the year. I'm not even saying they're a good team, but these things happen in sports. That's why, students rush the field. They rush the court because guess what? The team that wasn't supposed to win won the game.
The one thing that I've seen happen is Spartan fans or Buckeye fans rather invade that place. And home field, if you nullify home field, it makes it even a longer shot.